Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Thursday, the 14th of April, 2022, and it's a pleasure to see you here today. Now, if you're joining me live, type in live into the chat box. If you're watching the replay, type in replay into the chat box. Now, today's guest is Australia's #1 feminine leadership coach. She's a TED Talk speaker and a contributor to Entrepreneur magazine. And for more than 15 years, she has awakened, championed, and influenced thousands of female leaders on how to break through those glass ceilings. And today she's going to share with you new insights, ideas, and information to break through your glass ceiling. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please help me welcome our good friend, Ela Staniak. Welcome. Hey, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Daniel, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Look at all these street creds. TEDx speaker, contributor to Entrepreneur magazine. Fantastic. Where can our friends learn more about you? Where's the best place they can go to learn more about you and your work?
Keeping it simple, head to my website, elastaniak.com.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go there at the end of the show. Now, thank you for seeing me today, Ella. We had a introduction recently from Tony Lontis. You've also made acquaintances with my good friend Mario Bekish, and now I've got the pleasure to have you here. And I want to tap into that feminine leadership wisdom. How does that sound for today?
Oh, let's get started. I cannot wait. My favorite topic, Daniel.
Well, I think a very important topic for so many people, and I love how you're helping your clients break through their glass ceilings. For our audience, what's an example of a glass ceiling for men and women in business today? What is a glass ceiling?
Look, stereotypically, Daniel, glass ceiling was a phrase born to describe the fact that so many women felt like they were unsupported in the workplaces because they were outnumbered by men. And that is still the case in multiple industries. But when it comes to especially key leadership roles, oftentimes I hear stories from women that they would be the only woman sitting at the table. And so that's this very stereotypical origin of the glass ceiling. However, today the glass ceilings for men and women look very different.
For the men who are joining us, what do some of the glass ceilings look like for the men? Because I get to have the pleasure of working with a lot of both men and women, and I think men describe it differently. So how would the men describe their glass ceilings?
It is a really interesting question. As much as I am a champion of women in all levels of decision making in business and corporate arena, I do not exclude and do work with a handful of men who are interested in getting more immersed in feminine leadership education. And so to tell you the truth, Daniel, the #1 key problematic element that I hear from men is that they actually do not know how to support women in the workplaces and at homes to the degree that they would love to. And it doesn't come from a place of not wanting to, but truly finding their place in how to support women professionally and personally.
So true. Over the years, I've heard people say they've hit an income glass ceiling, and that's the one that people tend to come to me for, and they say, I've hit this income glass ceiling. And I say, well, what does it look like? And they say, Daniel, I'm earning $50,000 a month, and I can see that next level. I can see 100,000 is possible. I can see the new customers. I can see the new opportunities. I can see the second and third sales come through. And I say, what's preventing you from getting there? And they say, I don't know. I can see it, but there's something invisible hovering above my head, and I just can't break through it yet. So as they have those glass ceilings, what are some of those things that they've got to start to break through along the way?
I love how you help your clients maneuver through that, because isn't this true? I mean, there is that glass ceiling right above me, and I hear from my female clients, I just feel trapped by it. I feel like it is squashing me. I feel like I am suffocating. And I would say, well, who put it there? Where did it come from? Who put it there? What does it look like, right? Sorry, what was your question, Daniel, initially? What did you say? I
What are
went on
some
a
of those
ramble.
things that, what are some of those things that they've got to break through? From some of the things that I see with my clients as they're breaking through their income glass ceiling, sometimes there's fears, sometimes there's doubts, sometimes there's limiting beliefs. What are you seeing?
Absolutely. I can definitely second that. A vast majority of my clients, I have to tell you, that feel a sense of dissociation from their identity, which would match the person who is above the glass ceiling. So we have a sense of being out of alignment in the context of identity, but also limiting beliefs, which oftentimes hold people stuck underneath the glass ceiling. So it is truly a perception of the limitations. Yes, we have fears there, but the very first step to becoming aware of what those limitations are is a true connection to self, to power, to skills, to capabilities, and understanding your identity and driving from that place of true sense of power and knowing and awareness. And creating the excitement and really relying on that passion to go above and beyond any glass ceiling.
It's interesting, some of these limiting beliefs. For the men, they say sometimes, I don't have enough education. I don't have enough time. I don't have the resources. And also the ladies, sometimes I hear them say, I've got so many other commitments. I'm a mum. I'm a wife. I'm re-educating. And sometimes those limiting beliefs really prevent them from, getting through that glass ceiling. They can see what they want. But that first step, and I love what you said, is that self-awareness. And it's really that emotional intelligence piece. One of my clients said to me recently, he said, Daniel, it's not what you know that hurts you. It's what you don't know. And I love the way he put it because it made so much sense. If you don't know what your glass ceiling is, how do you break through it? There was another speaker recently, I was reading something they were saying, if you can't name it, you can't tame it. And it's that self-awareness, isn't it? At least if I get awareness of it, now I can put those self-regulation strategies in place. And then you can start to hammer it. I don't know if you've ever been on a bus before, but these buses, they've got these big emergency windows and they're almost bulletproof. There was a guy on YouTube the other day, he had a sledgehammer and he's hitting away at this emergency glass window, throwing all of his energy and effort at it, to try to break the window. And then someone comes along with one of these little emergency breaking hammers and just taps the window once, but they have the right tool and they hit her in the right spot and the whole thing just shatters. So these income glass ceilings, from what you're seeing out there with men and women in leadership, what's the impact? How does it impact them personally? How does it impact them professionally?
Oh my gosh, well, tremendously. Women, beyond the factors which you already named, which are the same, I believe, as men factors that create the sense of insecurity, which is I'm not qualified enough, or possibly I'm coming back to the workforce after X number of years taking care of the family, or I am wanting to redirect in my career, or I am exiting corporate world, entering the sphere of entrepreneurship. I have no idea what I am doing. I feel like women are more prone to run very strong imposter syndrome. Very strong imposter syndrome. And unfortunately, imposter syndrome starts with that lingering thought, not good enough, not secure enough, not powerful enough, not confident enough, not qualified enough. But it really changes the emotional state of a person, plants that seed of uncertainty. And that unfortunately then determines the quality of decision making, the quality of behaviors. And of course, that affects a general state of being, that ability to own your presence. When we talk about feminine leadership, I believe it's an art of owning your presence as a man and as a woman. And it is born in a place of integration of all facets of one's identity: physical, emotional, spiritual, yes, even their financial identity, all of it. So how it affects people? Tremendously, because it again reinforces the limitations in the identity and the part personality of everything that isn't working. it is broken, it is dysfunctional, it is not good enough, it is not powerful enough, it doesn't contribute enough. And then personally, people take those insecurities in their intimate relationships, are incapable of finding love, or that truly ruins marriages because people withdraw their ability to communicate, their ability to show up. But also, of course, that damages people's health and well-being, mental and physical well-being. And that's something I feel we need to talk more about, not just for general population, but especially when it comes to our key leaders, the decision makers at the highest levels.
This imposter syndrome's an interesting one. I was with a group of business people in Hong Kong, and one of the ladies was about to take stage, and she was going out in front of 5,000 people. And just before she got onto stage, she started to have a panic attack, started to have an anxiety attack. And I said, "How do you feel?" And she said, "I feel terrible." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" She said, "Well, Daniel, I don't feel like I should be here." She said, "Because it was only last year I was sitting in the audience. I was one of those 5,000 people, and all of a sudden, I'm going to be on stage. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if I deserve it." And so we started talking. She was just talking about her journey. It felt like I got here too easy. She quickly generalized and deleted all the hard things she'd done. She quickly forgot about all those 12-hour days, all of those sacrifices. And as you mentioned before, she had left corporate and then started her own business. And she did the hard work, but it just seemed too easy. And then she questioned herself, what am I doing here? And it was that feeling like the imposter. It shouldn't be me on stage. Me out of all people, I got here too easy. And it was a big one for her. And as you mentioned there, the effect on the body, you could see the panic kick in. The stress symptoms were there. The skin flushed red, and then all the red just drained out, and she was as white as a ghost. Her palms started to sweat. Her armpits were drenched, and you could see the impact that it had on the body. And then afterwards, although she was only up there for 10 to 15 minutes doing a keynote, she was absolutely exhausted, absolutely ruined afterwards. And, that's that same pattern that you're talking about. Leaving corporate, what am I doing here? And then those stress symptoms kicking in. So when people break through this, what's some of the rewards? I love how you're bringing the spirituality into it. What happens physically? What happens emotionally? What happens to their spirituality as they break through these glass ceilings? What happens to them?
Well, first of all, something that is really important for people to achieve, I feel, and something that I have realized in my business that people want the most is the sense of freedom. And definition of freedom can be so individual for every single human being on earth, but there is a commonality that we do want a sense of freedom. And here's an interesting thing. A lot of people want freedom when it comes to finances, and they think that financial freedom is the name of the game, but oftentimes what they truly want is the psychological freedom, is the physical freedom in their body. They actually want to feel relieved. They want the sense of tension and the resistance that they face every single day to disappear or to dissolve or to just at least be reduced.
That
So
peace of
when
mind.
it comes, peace of mind. And where spirituality comes into place, I have noticed, especially in the last 2 years, working with leaders throughout the circumstances of pandemic, in the levels of unprecedented uncertainty like we have never experienced before in our lifetime. Those leaders who truly had a sense of faith, spiritual faith, whatever beliefs were attached to it, whether it was faith and trust in something greater than them, a higher power, God, universal laws, that true sense of knowing that people are guided when they can tap onto their true heart, their heart's desires, when they know that they are following the legacy, which has a true cause to make an incredible change. That sense of trust and faith has been one of the key, I've noticed, contributing factors to a success to those leaders who managed to at least navigate the pandemic. however that looks
100%.
for them.
So I know that you're big on this, and you're helping people having a feminine leadership awakening. What is this feminine leadership awakening, and how can people get it? How can they get it?
What is this feminine leadership awakening? Look, as we mentioned earlier, feminine leadership is not determined by gender. Men and women have feminine and masculine qualities. In my line of work, a lot of female leaders who I work with, they are predominantly operating in masculine qualities, which further down the track leaves them feeling disconnected, exhausted, frustrated, out of alignment, and actually moves them away from their power, their qualities as leaders, but also personally. So if you truly want to explore this, I would love to invite a handful of listeners today to 2 feminine leadership awakening sessions. They are designed for women in leadership who truly want to break through that number 1 glass ceiling, dissolve self-sabotage attached to it, and reclaim their moxie.
I love it. I love it. So how do they claim 2 of these awakening sessions? Ladies and gentlemen, do it now. Jump on it right now. If you want to have that feminine leadership awakening, Ella's going to give away 2 sessions to just a couple of lucky people. So I want you to jump on that straight away. How can they get it, Ela?
They can contact me through my website, elastaniak.com, but you can also just contact me on my LinkedIn or anywhere through this show, or you can contact Daniel.
Write to me and I'll forward the email. Nice and easy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do it now, because what I've learned is that one new idea at the right time is enough to make you rich. But it's not just about rich in money, it's rich in spirituality. And also, very important, and I believe it's the number 1 most important thing, it's to be rich in peace of mind. And my definition of peace of mind is being free from any mental or emotional interference. And I know if you have this opportunity to work with Ela, you will have that awakening, you will get that peace of mind. So Ela, thank you so much for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, jump on the website now. I've put the link here into the show notes. Simply click on that and schedule your 2 awakening sessions straight away. Ela, it's been a pleasure to have you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And remember, one idea at the right time is enough to make you rich. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Ciao for now. Thank you, Ela.
Thank you, Daniel.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.